Let's hit it. And welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort. All right, here we go. What you think about, you will bring about. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm thrilled you can join us today. We're going to have a great conversation talking with the AlzAuthors and how they are changing dementia care one word at a time. For those of you that are new to our show, Alzheimer Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. We like to talk to real people in the trenches, making things happen, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. And if you think you have a story to share, please reach out to me. I would be more than glad to talk to you, even with the frog in my throat with my allergies here. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit today. Now, before I introduce our guests, I just want to give a big shout out to Dementia Map. If you're not familiar with it, it's our resource directory, which is global and has 150 different categories that you can search for wonderful resources, products, and tools that can support you if you are living with dementia, if you're a family member, if you are a professional, an advocate, or a friend. So go to Dementia Map and please check that out. If anyone is looking to join a support group, I do a memory cafe called Arthur's Memory Cafe. And on the second and fourth Wednesday, we start at 1 p.m. Central. So that would be 2 o'clock Eastern, noon Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific time. We are doing that virtually thanks to Arthur Senior Care and their sponsorship. And we meet at, again, in the afternoon, the second and the fourth Wednesday. You're more than welcome to join us. Also, I do a program with Brookdale North Oak, and that we are hoping to be live again in May, and that would be in Minnesota. So that's Central Time, the last Wednesday of the month from 10 to 11. And there is respite care for your loved one as well. Now, I always like to give a shout out also to Maud's Ventures. They are having 3 categories for seed money where you can be honored with winning up to $50,000 to $100,000. So you're going to want to check out maudsventures.org. And that is open still for a while. But they also have Maud's Awards. In Maud's Awards, you can win $5,000 to $25,000 for work that you have already done. Now, that is closing out for applications May 16th, so you're going to want to go to maudsAwards.org and get on that as soon as possible. The application process they've made really, really simply there. And then mark your calendars for May 12th from 9 to 1 p.m. Dale Brennison is going to be speaking at the Dementia Summit, which is free and online, and that is sponsored by the Central Minnesota Dementia Community Action Network called DCAN. We are going to hear from the Adaptive Equipment Corner, and they are going to talk a little bit to us about the foot bar walker, and then we will be right back.
I love the foot bar walker, and let me tell you why. It is the option for my toolbox that I've been waiting for. Let's be honest, there are some clients who, despite our best rehab efforts, just aren't able to return to performing a sit-to-stand transfer on their own. Now I can offer my caregivers an easier, safer option that doesn't involve hoisting their loved one up from a sitting position. I don't recommend this walker for all of my clients, but I do recommend this walker for those caregivers looking for an easier, safer option with transfers. I would also encourage other therapists to add this walker to their toolbox. It's kind of like having my own mobile parallel bars for the client to pull up on. Whether it's a family caregiver at home helping a loved one with Parkinson's or dementia, CNAs in a long-term care facility assisting their patients, or therapists adapting to client and caregiver-specific needs, we now have a very safe and effective option to offer in the Footbar Walker. Check this product out at thefootbarwalker.com. That's it for today from Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Have a great day, and don't forget, if you can't do it, adapt it.
Well, we are back, and I get to introduce our guest today, who I'm really excited to have with us. The AlzAuthors do just such a wonderful job, and they really help support families and professionals alike, providing a variety of information from books to their podcasts, and we're going to get into all of that shortly. So first I want to introduce you to Jean Lee. She is an author on the AlzAuthors group, as well as co-founder of the group, and her book is called The Alzheimer's Daughter, a memoir of both parents diagnosed with Alzheimer's on the same day. Jean, I still to this day don't know how you survived that process with both parents, but thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Lori. Thank you for all the work you do in the Alzheimer's area. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and introduce some of your cohorts here. So Vicki Tapia is also a co-founder of AlzAuthors, and the book that she wrote is called Somebody Stole My Iron, a family memoir of dementia, which really chronicles the journey with her parents, both diagnosed with dementia as well. So welcome, Vicki. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Lori. It's nice to be here visiting with you again. I think this is not our first merry-go-round here.
No, it's wonderful to have you back in, and I can't wait to hear all that you've accomplished, just even in the last couple of years with COVID in place. But your group has grown, and it's just been really beautiful to see. So I'm going to go ahead and also introduce Marianne Sciucco, who is a co-founder, the director, and the podcast producer and host for AlzAuthors. And Marianne, if you don't know, is also the author of Blue Hydrangeas, an Alzheimer's love story. And that's a novel inspired by her work for caring for families impacted by dementia. So welcome, Marianne. How are you?
Hi, Lori. I'm great. Thanks for having us all on the show today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you with us. I'm going to go ahead and start with you for this first question, Marianne. And you guys have all been kind of touched and stuff by dementia, but our audience likes a little bit more information, if you don't mind sharing. And the question is, have you been touched by dementia in your own family or circle of friends?
Yes, Lori, I'm sad to say that I have. I had way back in the 1990s, my aunt, my mother's beloved sister, she had Alzheimer's, so that was my first experience with that, and that was about the time that I went into nursing, so I had a lot of professional experience as well. But after I had written my book and founded AlzAuthors, my stepfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and placed in memory care, and I was his, quote, unquote, person. And I was responsible for managing all of his business and his needs. So that's how Alzheimer's touched my life.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And Jean, how about you? Can you tell us a little bit more about your story?
Boy, Lori, my sister and I began to notice changes in both of our parents at about age 80. And it took until age 86 until we officially had a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. They were both diagnosed on the same day, which sounds like such a lot, and it was. But it was not unexpected for us. We had been seeking this diagnosis for them so that we could move forward and be proactive rather than reactive in keeping them safe.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so sad. So many people have such a hard time getting diagnosed. And 6 years is a long time to wonder what's going on, not just for the family members, but for those actually going through the process as well, and I can't wait until that day is changed. Thank you, Jean. Vicki, how about you? Can you tell us a little bit more about your story?
Sure, Lori. My parents were both had dementia. My dad had Parkinson's disease for a few years, and it evolved into Parkinson's-related dementia. He was quite time-consuming for my mom. She took care of him, and I think this didn't help her at all after being awakened night after night after night by him needing to get up. Eventually, things that she started doing were questionable, but I chalked it up to stress and caring for my dad, right? And it wasn't until probably a couple of years into it that I realized it was probably more than just stress. And she was evaluated with Alzheimer's disease at that time. So, like Jean, although not on the same day, both my parents were dealing with some form of dementia, and they lived 2 hours away from me. It was a challenge, but eventually I got them in the same city as I reside. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The double whammy. There's not that many people who are taking care of both parents at the same time with dementia, but there's a lot more out there than we think there are as well with that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Marianne, I'm going to start out with you, if you don't mind, and maybe if you can catch us up on, what's been happening to AlzAuthors the last couple of years. What have you ladies been doing?
We've been really busy, Lori, with this project that was supposed to last for 1 month back in 2015, and here it is 2022, and we're celebrating our 7th anniversary coming up next month. We are now have more than 300 authors and more than 300 books in our collection, which you can find at AlzAuthors.com, and had ventured into the podcast arena back in November 2020 during the pandemic. We just thought it would be a great way to get our message out with our authors to do the audio program. So we've been doing now for about a good year and a half, and we have 63 episodes out there and have won a couple of awards. So we're really excited about that. We just recently partnered with the Health Podcast Network, who has dozens of different podcasts on various topics. Not too many on Alzheimer's. They have ours, but they also have invited us to collaborate with them on a mini-series on Alzheimer's and dementia. So many of our authors are involved in that or being interviewed for that program. And we've been busy doing virtual events as well. So we thought that might be a great way to get our stories out there. So we've had 2 already. One was on with 5 authors who actually live with the disease themselves, which happened last June and is available on our YouTube channel. It's called Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Living with Dementia But Were Afraid to Ask. And that has some really amazing content and information for people who might be wondering what is it like for my loved one to actually live with this brain disease. They gave us a lot of insight. And we did another one on in February, which was called Love Stories, Keeping Romance Alive in Dementia Care, and we had 4 of our authors who are currently caring for loved ones in different situations talk about how they managed to keep that little spark of romance or what makes their loved one special alive, even in the throes of dementia care, which sometimes that is something that can get lost, we find. And we have another one coming up next month in June called When Dad Has Dementia, and we're going to be talking about caring for your father with dementia. So we went from focusing primarily on the written word on books and blogs into more of audio content and then a video content. We've also included new podcasts as our resources as AlzAuthors, and we have a couple of films that are coming up, or one we've already introduced. So we're kind of moving into different media because we know that caregivers, they may not always have time to sit and read a book, but we do want them to get our information, so we're trying to provide it in as many ways as we can.
You had mentioned films, I thought. And exactly what are you doing with films? Are you making films? Are you screening films?
Yeah, no, we are certainly not making films. That goes beyond anything we could even think about. But we are working with people featuring their films on our platform. So we started with Susie Singer Carter's film, My Mom and the Girl, which is based upon a true story with Susie's mom, and starred Valerie Harper in her final performance. It's a 20-minute film that has a really positive message. So Susie is our first, and we're also working with Frank Silverstein, who did a 15-minute short film based on both of his parents living with dementia called Lousy, Love in the Time of Dementia. I believe that's the title. And he's coming up on our blog in June, and we're also working with another author, another filmmaker, Daphne Ferrier-Glover, who did the documentary Spent. And then there were a few others bubbling up there. But we're hoping maybe we can do a film festival over the summer and, you know, have it available to anybody who wants to come, just not only watch the films, but then also have like a Q&A session with the filmmaker.
Oh, cool. That sounds really neat. Well, thanks for clarifying that. Really appreciate that. Jean, I'm going to throw the next question to you, and that is if you can share some of the progress you've made towards, you know, realizing your dream here and your vision to kind of lift the silence and the stigma regarding Alzheimer's and other dementias.
Well, Lori, when we came together, Vicki and Marianne and I in 2015, we had no idea that we'd still be working together 7 years later and growing by leaps and bounds. And now that we have, you know, our books, we continue to be focused on our books, but we have the podcast and the virtual events grown to over 300 authors writing posts for us and participating in our podcast. All of our books, blogs, films, anything we look at, our criteria is that the person who has created this resource has to have had some kind of personal experience with Alzheimer's and dementia, either by being a caregiver or living with memory impairment. The books that we feature, the people that we feature, are written as memoirs of daughters and sons, spouses and partners, memoirs written by grandchildren. We've got caregiver guides for all types of dementia. We feature fiction, which models situations in real life. We have books for children and teens, and we have poetry books, art books, quick reads, all of those written from personal experience. And I think all of that over these 7 years has definitely tried to lift the goal, tried to lift the stigma of Alzheimer's and other dementias. And we are right now, so many people are coming to know us that we're now at the 1st of May booked into August.
Wonderful.
Yeah, another thing that I'm very excited to tell you about, another way that we are lifting the silence and stigma, is we've always had the goal of taking these books that live on our website and link to Amazon. We've always had the goal of putting these books in the hands of real people in real places, for real people in real places. And we've developed something called custom caregiver collections. We've had a generous donor, Paulette Sharkey, one of our authors, who has enabled us to prototype 10 of these custom caregiver collections, which we're trying to place throughout the United States kind of as a test run on these, and they come in a beautiful handmade shelf that holds 15 to 20 of our real books. And they will be in memory cafes, at the entrance to memory care facilities, used for support groups in doctors' offices. And that's just so exciting to us because we feel like many people who need our books may not really live online like we do. They are in and out of a memory care facility, or they're grasping to find a support group. And we feel like these real books in real places for real people in these little lending libraries gives them support, a book they can pick up and read, return, take another one. And in support groups, they can pick up these books, read them, and have discussions about how this book affected me or how this person's journey mirrors their own. So that's a new initiative we're really excited about.
Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Vicki, do you have anything to add to that?
In a more general sense, I'd like to say the stories that we're able to share, one story at a time, that each story that we share, there's more people out there talking about that story, and they connect with each other, and then they realize they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
The more we can change the language in our discussions of the word dementia, removing some of the language that just increases the stigma, but the more we can use different wording and what it actually means, I mean, all these things are going to contribute to help us realize our vision.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It really is exciting to see how much you guys have expanded and how large you're getting, because people need help all over, and there'll never be enough of us to reach everybody. But it's really nice to see the expansion there. Vicki, can you tell us a little bit about the three of you? I know that you guys. My understanding is that you met virtually back in 2015, and here we are in 2022. And I believe you're kind of situated around the country here. How do you guys, work together and move forward and push these goals out? It's just kind of incredible.
Thank goodness for virtual. I know that none of the three of us had any conception that we would still be together 7 years later. We united to promote our books in 2015, and one thing led to another. When you have great visionaries like Marianne and Jean, I'm not surprised that this has happened. I have to credit technology. It's really made our journey together easier. We can actually see each other, something that 15 years ago probably wouldn't happen. And we have a communication network through Slack. It really, I have to say, technology keeps us connected. The reason we're still together is because of our shared passion for our vision. There's power in numbers. I think what we've accomplished together is something, I seriously doubt that we probably would have been able to do on our own to keep each other going. I think, our acquaintance began as that, an acquaintance, but soon turned into a type of friendship, a virtual friendship, I guess you would say. And from there, it became a sisterhood of like-mindedness. If we know that we've helped ease the journey for even one caregiver, whether it's an author that we have filed or a reader that found our books, we've helped make a difference, I like to believe, in that one caregiver's life. And there's such satisfaction for us in being able to connect dementia authors with readers. We're all in this together. Nobody walks the walk alone.
That's so true. And when you say, when you help one caregiver, or care partner, or care companion, whatever, carer, depending on where you're located and what term you use, you're helping way more than just one person, because it really is that whole ripple effect, that pours out to family and friends and neighbors and coworkers, because people's circles are way bigger than what we believe they are, or what we've been told that they are. With 6 or 7 people are affected. Most families and extended families are much bigger than that, in and of themselves. So, yeah, I think it's really such an important thing. Jean, do you have anything that you want to add to that in terms of your relationship and how you all work together?
Oh, gosh. These 2 women, Vicki and Marianne, helped me through my own journey with my parents before they even realized it. I read their books, and that's how we connected. I reached out to Marianne and said I loved her book. We reached out to Vicki, and books have power. Words have the power to save lives. And these 2 women, their books saved my life and made me realize I could get up each morning, breathe, and just walk and keep going. And from that solid sisterhood, we have built something that was needed. And something that Vicki said, we use a virtual office space called Slack, SLACK, and we work from Ohio and Montana and New York, sitting at our own kitchen tables, but it is as though we are working in an office together, because numerous times per day, we are shuffling paperwork or ideas back to one another, and technology has allowed us to keep going and grow.
Oh, that's wonderful. You found a platform to help, and I love how you say, "Hey, they saved me," because what what the outcome is to so many others that you are helping out there, as you expand. So thanks for adding that, Jean. Marianne, how about you? Anything that you want to add about how the 3 of you work together?
I do want to let the listeners know that Jean, Vicki, and I, we are the co-founders in the core at AlzAuthors, but we don't do this by ourselves. We do have other members to our management team, Catherine Harrison, who helps with the website, and our creative director, and Ann Campanella, who is involved in the custom caregiver collections and our traveling libraries and does editorial work for us. And we also have Susan Landis, who does our graphic design work on our social media, and Roseanne Corcoran, who is also a behind-the-scenes person and a podcaster on her own, who has helped us build our AlzAuthors shop online. So it might look like it's just the 3 of us, but we do have a team behind us, and there are several other volunteers as well. Everybody works for free. It's a passion project. We all give as much as we can, depending on what project that we're working on. And we have met in person on 2 occasions. We met at a caregiver conference in Chicago back in 2018, and then we spent a beautiful week together in Naples, Florida in November of 19 before the pandemic hit. And I know that Vicki and Jean have met each other a few times in between. But those times are joyous when we see each other. It's like the real books and real people and real places to see, us in the flesh and to be able to touch and hold each other. It was really meaningful, and there's nothing like that. But we've been able to not only build AlzAuthors, but to forge a friendship and a sisterhood, like Vicki said, just using Zoom and social media and our little Slack app. Mm-hmm. So what we've done, caregivers can do the same thing and network with other caregivers and create their own support groups and their own systems as well. It's satisfying and it's good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Maybe, Marianne, can you explain to us what does it mean to be an AlzAuthor?
Lori, when I published my book back in 2013, I was told that I wouldn't get anywhere unless I had a platform. And I didn't know what a platform was, and I knew I didn't have one. But I did connect with another platform of authors at the time that were all supporting one another and helping each other grow and get their books out there through social media and the internet and other things. So it kind of dawned on me one day that, gee, wouldn't it be great to have such a network like that for people who had written books about Alzheimer's? Because, frankly, it's very hard to get your books out there on this topic. None of us could really find publishers to take on this topic because it's just not a topic that people wanted to talk about or thought they could make any money on. So that was an uphill climb. And that's when I reached out to Jean because she had written to me telling me how much she enjoyed my book, and one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we had this platform. So our platform is now available to all of the authors that have contributed to our site. They all benefit from our branding, our brand, their association with AlzAuthors. They all get little icons that they can place on their books and on their social media or on their website that says, I am an AlzAuthor or proud to be an AlzAuthor. And it lets people know that their book has made the cut because we don't accept every book that comes our way. We have a very strict set of criteria that people need to meet in order to be considered to have their book in our collection. So to be in that group gives the authors who, for the most part, are obscure, they're caregivers, they've never written a book before, they will never write a book again, and they, in many cases, self-publish their work, and it is a quality work, or we wouldn't have taken it, but they don't know what the next step is. They don't know how to find readers, how to get their book out there. So that's where we come in. We provide them with a platform so that they can launch their books and, help us to reduce the stigma that's associated with a dementia diagnosis.
Well, that's wonderful. Anything, Jean, that you want to add on to what Marianne just said? Marianne, I think we're hearing some, paper scruffling around there. Jean, anything you wanted to add?
Well, your question, what it means to be an AlzAuthor, I think it means to be a part of a community, that you are not alone, and not our community is not just made up of our authors, but it's made up of all of our readers and followers and our friends of AlzAuthors. And so it's not just the author that's not alone, but the author lets the reader and the follower know you are not alone through your journey. Many others of us have taken some part of this path, and we can light the darkness of your path along with you.
I love that. I think that's so beautiful and so important because I think when someone doesn't feel alone, that in and of itself changes the journey. Vicki, how about you? Anything you want to add to that question?
I would like to add that once an author, always an AlzAuthor. We continue to promote our authors long past the time of their original posting date on our website so that they continue to be seen on our website. Susan Landis makes wonderful graphics for authors, original graphics that a couple times a year that author is going to be profiled one more time as a pinned tweet or pinned on Facebook, so that it's continuous, it doesn't end, and it does give our authors a chance to connect with each other in a way that a person who doesn't have that connection is unable to, connect and meet with other people that have written books about dementia. Our platform is a place where people that have written these books are able to connect and meet and support each other. So I think it's an ongoing process.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Marianne, I'm going to go back to you, and I'm wondering if you can explain to us how AlzAuthors serves dementia caregivers and the other concerns, with various conditions.
Lori, when I think about our ideal reader or our ideal caregiver, I think of a person, most likely a woman, who is at the end of the day finally sitting down with a few minutes to spare to maybe discover what can I learn about dementia, what resources, what can I find that's going to help me get through my next day. And maybe she goes on the internet and goes to Google and types in some search term, Alzheimer's, for instance, or maybe she goes on Amazon and she looks there. Maybe I'll find a book, and is immediately overwhelmed with the numbers of resources that are available. And that in itself is exhausting. You only have 10 or 15 minutes, and now you're in this rabbit hole of information, and it's overwhelming, and at that point you just shut down. With AlzAuthors, if you come to AlzAuthors.com, we have presented you with 300 plus titles of books that have all been vetted by caregivers. We can vouch for their value and the quality of the information you'll find, and we have classified them in our bookstore and on our website according to the dementia type and the situation. So, for instance, if you're caring for your mom and she has Lewy body disease, you will be able to find those books quickly that are on that subject. Or if you're caring for your husband and he has early onset or mild cognitive impairment, whatever your situation is, we've made it easy for caregivers to go in there and find exactly what they're looking for, and maybe even find some other things that maybe they didn't even know existed or didn't even know that they wanted. So that's how we serve our caregivers through the book part of AlzAuthors. And then, of course, with the podcast and the virtual events, we give them an opportunity to tune in to a program, and they can listen and take in the information. They can stop and start if they like, because it's all recorded, and listen to the stories and pick the information out that they think is going to help them, and do it on the go. As you know, audio is a great tool and a great way to learn, and that's what we do. We just provide through others' personal experience the information that they need for their own journey.
Well, I just think it's fantastic. I'm going to just see if Jean and Vicki want to say anything else. So, Jean, I'm going to pull you in first and see if there's anything you want to add to Marianne's answers about how you guys serve and connect people.
Oh, I think Marianne just said it so well. So I'll leave it at her words. We have so many resources for those who we share a journey with them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And Vicki, anything that you would like to add there?
I have to agree with Jean. I think that Marianne covered it really well.
Yeah, you guys are doing so much. It's just, it's really incredible, and it's fun to see you expand. It's fun to see that I still think so many people don't know that there's a lot more libraries out there that are, creating these dementia-friendly sections out there too, that they realize the need, and what a great source. I know every time I talk to a group on that, and I'm like, well, get the AlzAuthors. That's going to be the easiest way for you to pick your books and get on target with all of this stuff. And, the podcast that you have is absolutely fabulous. And I don't think we've mentioned the name of that, but it's Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia. Your website as a whole is so friendly and uplifting. When you go to the site, I think it just kind of calms the soul, as a whole. And I just can't give you guys any more kudos. I mean, I just think all three of you and the group at large is just so incredible and so welcoming. You really pull people together to work together for the greater good, and there's so much to that. Vicki, is there anything else that you'd like to cover that we haven't covered?
I'd like to invite people to visit our website and check out all the resources that are available there. Listen to a podcast maybe while you're at it, and get to know us. We're there to serve dementia, all forms of dementia, people that are experiencing it, people that are care partners for people with dementia. We have a whole section of authors that are currently living with dementia that have written a book about their experiences, visit our YouTube channel and maybe watch the panel discussion we had with the 5 people that are living with dementia. It was eye-opening. It was an incredible experience. There's a lot there for you people. We just need you to come take a look at it.
Yep, and when you come and visit, don't forget to share it with other people too. You know, my saying is don't keep nuggets to yourself. You really need to let others know about it as well. Jean, how about you? Any last thoughts that we should share before we wrap up?
I think just a couple things that we haven't mentioned is that we've really tried to reach out and partner with other organizations in the Alzheimer's dementia space. And this summer we have a book club coming up with HFC. And one of our authors, Christy Yates, is going to be moderating that book club. So watch for information on that. And Roseanne Corcoran, a fellow podcaster through Daughterhood, is bringing us some messaging through Judy Cornish and her organization. She will be posting kind of, I envision it as a Dear Abby type of a series, but it will be a Dear Judy kind of a thing where people can ask a question of our friend and fellow author Judy Cornish, and she'll respond. And I know Marianne would probably like to tell you about the new podcast platforms that we're appearing on as well.
Okay, sounds good. I was going to go to her next. So, Marianne, I'm trying to get you back online here. Here we go. Do you want to expand?
Sure. We are on the Whole Care Network. That's our home base. And if you visit thewholecarenetwork.com, you're going to find a lot of podcasts that are dedicated to caregivers, not only just Alzheimer's and dementia, but for other diseases and disorders as well. So there's a wealth of information there. And then we recently partnered with the Health Podcast Network, which is even bigger than that and does a lot of podcasts with a lot of different diagnoses, and even has like a nurse channel. I was interviewed on one of the nurse channels, the Nurse Keith Show, but you'll find a wealth of information there if you like to listen. Listening is a great way to learn. I also want to just say something about our merchandise store. If you visit our website, AlzAuthors.com/shop, you'll find our store where we have all kinds of apparel and other little tchotchkes and things like that feature the AlzAuthors logo. We took some time building that. Our friend Roseanne Corcoran put that together for us, and it's something we've wanted to do for years, so it's really great that we have that. And lastly, I just encourage people to visit the website, AlzAuthors.com, and while you're there, you have the opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, and when you do, you'll receive a free copy of our very first anthology, Alzheimer's and Dementia Caregiving Stories. But then every week you'll receive our email, and we will get the information right away about upcoming events and how to sign up and who's the new author and who's the new podcast and other things that are going on AlzAuthors. So stop by and pay us a visit. You'll be glad you did.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today on Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. And again, people can go to AlzAuthors, that's ALZ Authors, plural.com, and get that information. Again, you can spend a lot of time on their site. It's just a fabulous tool, educational support, and in a way that you may end up connecting with others as well. So, again, go to AlzAuthors.com. And again, ladies, thank you for the tremendous work that you're doing and contributions in shifting our dementia care from crisis to comfort around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Really great being here.
And in wrapping up, again, I just love the work that they are doing. I just think they add so much to the dementia world as a whole, so much support and comfort. I can't say enough good things about this group. You won't be disappointed. And we will be talking with our next group is going to be the Minnesota Central Dementia network that is going to be hosting Dale Brennison. So check us out on Thursday as well for their show. In the meantime, you can always go to AlzheimersSpeaks.com or reach out to me at radio@AlzheimersSpeaks.com, and I would love to hear your story, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be our next guest on the show here. And again, don't forget to check out Dementia Map. Bye, everyone. Take care.
It's time to rethink, renew, and reimagine retirement. Hey everybody, Jared Sebesta here, host of Retire Repurposed. Now this podcast is about the non-financial parts of retirement, which many times can be even more challenging than the financial. We believe retirement is not the end, rather the beginning of what could be the most impactful, purposeful, and fulfilling season of a person's life. So don't retire, become repurposed. To listen now, search Retire Repurposed on your favorite podcast platform, Senior Resource, or Life Audio.